Okay, so I saw someone recently say that they like Disney owned fairy tales and they were like surprised that this other company could make something that was based off of fairy tales, and I was like, why why would Disney sue them for making stuff off of fairy tales? Like, I was really confused because they said like they were surprised that Disney didn't like sue them or whatever for making stuff off of fairy tales, and it's like, but like Disney only owns their version, and they're like, no, Disney owns fairy tales, and it's like, what? Like, one Google search would tell you that no, Disney doesn't own fairy tales in general. They just own their version of the fairy tale. So like Snow White, like with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like they own their version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and whatever, and they own, you know, that version of that story because they're the ones that like made it like their version. That's they made that version that is theirs, but then every other version of Snow White is made by someone else or made by a different company, made by a different studio and whatever. So yeah, like they don't own the fairy tale itself. The fairy tale itself is, it's old as fuck, so I'm sure it's still in public domain. Like I don't think you can just suddenly own stuff that's in public domain, right? Unless you can do some weird shit and then suddenly own it. I don't know, but I never went into that part of it, but you know, I think it's just like, hey, it's in public domain, so anyone can make their version of said thing. Kind of like with Winnie the Pooh, that went into public domain not that long ago, so someone made a scary horror version of Winnie the Pooh and just made like a couple slasher movies, but I heard that they're not that great and they don't look that great, so I don't care to watch them. But yeah, like if something's in public domain, someone can just make their version of it and whatever. And that's basically what Disney did with their fairy tales. Is that like these fairy tales were in public domain, and then Disney just made their version of it, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's like they just made their version and they own their version. I mean, like, I don't actually don't know when whatever Disney movies would technically go into public domain now. I don't think I think, because how long is it? I think it's like a while, right? Like, when does something go into public domain? So yeah, like when the copyright term expires. So after a certain period of time based on the creation date and the author's life, anyone can freely use the work without permission as the copyright protection has ended. So they have an example here. In the United States, most work published before 1923 are currently considered public domain due to the 95-year copyright term applied to them. So I was gonna say it's probably like 100 years, right? So that one that it uses as an example says 95 years. So yeah, um, but it doesn't say exactly. I'm guessing like the copyright thing, it just depends on what it is. It really, I guess, depends on when that copyright for that thing is expired, but I don't know. I feel like it would they not? I guess they wouldn't all have like the same copyright life, you know? So I guess it really depends on the thing, maybe? I don't know. I would have to look into it more for that, but for this video specifically, it's just like, you know, Disney doesn't own every single fairy tale. They didn't they didn't like, just one Google search would just say, hey, they own their version and their version alone. They don't own every single version or whatever. They don't own the original version. Like there's the Brothers Grimm stuff and Hans Christian Andersen stuff, and it's like those are, old as fuck now, so it's like they're in public domain. People can make their versions of said stories in those books and stuff, so it's kind of like, I don't know. But I mean, unless Disney did want to own them, like, I mean, maybe they could, I don't know. But like for now, as of making this video, they don't own them. Maybe in the future because, Disney's trying to buy everything at this point because they bought like Star Wars and Marvel and they bought like Fox and stuff, so they have like Simpsons and stuff and they I guess technically own the Anastasia movie even though they didn't make it and I guess yeah that was like under Fox or they bought whatever studio that it was under, so it's technically owned by them. But like, I still wouldn't call Anastasia a Disney movie because they had no part in making it. They had zero part in making Anastasia, so I do not count that as a Disney movie. Same thing with like Simpsons and stuff. Like, they didn't have any part in making it originally, so it's like, can I really count Simpsons as Disney? Like maybe the new stuff is Disney, but like the old stuff isn't Disney then. Same with like old Star Wars and old Marvel. Like those aren't Disney, but the new stuff is technically Disney, I guess, because they're being made under Disney now. So yeah. And then like Pixar, I don't think was Pixar. I feel like Pixar maybe started out. I would have to check again because I feel like Pixar was it originally made under Disney? I don't remember. I would have to check again. But for Pixar stuff, a lot of Pixar stuff is under Disney though, because I feel like if it didn't start out as Disney, then it kind of became under Disney not too long after. But I feel like it started out being under Disney still. So I don't remember, but you know, this video isn't really about Disney Pixar right now. So yeah, but like, I don't know, maybe the future Disney could own every fairy tale, but like for now they don't, and I really hope they don't because I want to see other fairy tale versions. I want to see other people's takes on the fairy tales and stuff. Like with Ever After High. I love Ever After High, and I hope that there can be like something like that again that's based off of fairy tales and has like, Ever After High had great animation, great music, the storytelling was, really good up there and like it was a good show and I wish it lasted longer, but I don't know what the fuck Mattel was doing, but I guess it's they just dropped it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I hope. Or like maybe they could reboot it and like try to, I don't know. Because like reboots are usually not as great, especially, I don't know, like it's weird how there's the first like original version of something and then it's like really great, everyone loves it. And then they try to reboot it and the second reboot is like, or like the second generation or whatever isn't as great and it's kind of just like shit compared to the first generation. And then the third generation is usually a bit better. Like that seems to be, I don't know, some weird trend there. Like with Monster High, it was first gen was great, second gen was like not I mean it wasn't I don't think it's as bad as people were talking about before, but it's still like not as good as the first one. And then the third gen did do a little bit better with a lot of stuff, so I hope Ever After High doesn't take that route too. I hope each gen is better than the last. But I don't know how you can get better than the first generation for Ever After High if they do reboot it. Like, I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, I think I should end this video here because I kind of went off topic, but also at the same time, there isn't really that much to talk about anyways because it's kind of just like I saw people talking about this thing and I'm just like, yeah, that's not true. And then that's, pretty much it. All it takes is one Google search for you to know this, and it's, not that hard. It just reminds me of the whole thing where people think that every single animated thing is Disney when it's not true. Like, I made a video about that last year for Disney December, and I was just like, or it should have been Disney December. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for Disney December where I talked about how not every single animated thing was Disney. But it's like it just takes one Google search and you'll know that it's not a Disney movie. You know, like a lot of DreamWorks and stuff gets mistaken for Disney, and a lot of stuff that's just, different studios. Like it just takes one Google search and you can see. I mean, Google's kind of shit now, so you should probably use a different thing like Firefox. Google's keeps going getting worse and worse, and it's just not that great anymore, so you should probably use something else. But, whatever search engine that you use, like, it just takes one search and you'll see that it's made by a different studio. And Disney had no part in it, so yeah. Anyways, I guess that's it for this video though, so bye!